everybody. Welcome back to the Youtini Show, your one-stop shop for all things going on in Star Wars. I'm Eric here with Corey and Wes, and tonight we're talking about how Mara Jade Skywalker got an official legacy lightsaber. The 4 main celebration panels have been confirmed. Disney Parks revealed new Mandalorian and Grogu details, and Andor Season 2 received a behind-the-scenes look and the start of its epic publicity tour. But starting off tonight, we're taking a cue from our sister podcast, Legends Look Back, and talking about none other than Mara Jade Skywalker. This week, Disney shocked all of us by releasing a limited edition lightsaber of the Emperor's Hand, both in Disney parks and online. Now, why does that matter? Well, probably because this has never happened for a Legends character in the history of the Legacy line. So, Corey, let's start with you. How did you feel when you heard the news that Mara Jade was coming to an official Disney park?
That is a good question. Mara Jade is such an interesting character, Eric.
Yes,
Truly.
yes.
I am not sure that there is a more divisive character in all of Star Wars, frankly. I think Mara Jade is more divisive than, like, Snoke or the Emperor being back or anything we saw in the sequels. Than
Rey's existence for some people.
Exactly. Like people are so mixed about Mara Jade. And I think in a lot of ways, Mara Jade represents like the loss of Legends to a lot of fans.
Sure.
And I saw this all over like Reddit, and Reddit is already an incredibly toxic place a lot of the times. And I saw this thread where people were like, or somebody was like, "This is really cool. Look at this Mara Jade thing," and it was this photo like this in this article on the site with the box and like the Empire background, like on the Death Star or whatever, with like the lightsaber. It was that photo, and people were excited. And somebody replied. The top comment said something like. This just reminds me how much we lost with Legends being lost and gone. This is awful, and Disney sucks. And the person replied to that, and the top reply to that was like, man, this community is not happy about anything, even when they get exactly what they want. And I'm like, that honestly kind of captures the entire essence of this thing even existing.
It's the whole thing. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe we lost this. Disney is terrible. Commenting on Disney producing a Mara Jade saber.
I know.
It's like,
I know.
Literally the thing they've said they wanted. And that's what surprised me the most, because for me, like I love Disney Star Wars as a whole, but also I'm a big Disney parks guy. In the past couple of years, my fiance Charlie introduced me to going to Disney World, Disneyland. We've been a bunch. I have a ton of the sabers on my wall. I really like how you can use the blades on all of them, and it's all official. It's all canon, right? And like Batu is not only canon when you go to Galaxy's Edge, but it is also canon like directly between episodes. Like I believe it's episodes 8 and 9. Like, that is where Batu lives. They lock themselves in that timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And then, suddenly, Mara Jade, who's not in anything, she's not been, like, in a comic, she's not been named in a book, it's just, oh, Mara Jade, that Legends character, we're like, we're going to give her a saber and you can buy it at the park. That's actually canon, and we're not going to say anything about it. Oh, by the way, it drops tomorrow. This announcement was the night before it went on sale, and it sold out in hours. Like
instantly. I know.
This whole thing is crazy. Now, no, I have not read a lot of Mara Jade. Wes, you're the same as me, right? We're not huge like Mara Jade historians.
Right, not historians at all, I guess you could say. My question is, how did they get just the concept of what her lightsaber should look like? Is that from illustrations on the book or in comics, or is it something entirely different?
That's a good question. There is I guess that kind of makes me by default the resident expert on Mara Jade of the three of us, then, because I've read a fair amount of Mara Jade. There's a bunch of comics with Mara Jade in them. I imagine
like this collector's box came with By the Emperor's Hand. Issue 1, an exclusive variant, which a lot of these are now coming with to help the collectors out. So it's from that issue.
I'm almost certain too that Tim Zahn described her lightsaber in some of the early content as well. Timothy Zahn did create Mara Jade. In fact, I just wrote I wrote a really extensive article actually about Mara Jade on our site. The Ultimate Guide is on our site. You can find it. Go search for Mara Jade Youtini and you'll find it. I think it's titled, let me see, I have it pulled up here. It's called The Complete Guide to Star Wars' Most Iconic Legends Character. We wrote this a couple weeks, like February 17th is when I published it. About a month ago, I published this, and
you predicted this, is what you're saying. You can. It's
okay, I did. I basically predicted this. Oh, we admittedly have been like really doing some digging into like SEO, into like what what fans are searching for. And Mara Jade is a highly searched character. You know, and we
Mm-hmm.
know this already because our data on our own site already showed that Mara Jade was incredibly popular. So we put together like a really extensive guide about Mara Jade. So all of her history and everything is super fresh in my mind 'cause I just wrote this.
Yeah.
So it's really ironic actually that this lightsaber release. It turns out that I guess the lightsaber people were also doing SEO research about
Yeah, like people
characters.
like Mara Jade. And by the way, you'll notice, Corey, that article got updated the second this got announced by the
Right.
other person on your staff.
That's right. That's right. But
But
yeah, Mara Jade, created by Timothy Zahn, famously really disliked by George Lucas, actually. Really
didn't want Luke
disliked
to
by
get
George
married.
Lucas. Did not want Luke to get married. George always felt that like the Jedi were supposed to be like kind of monks, kind of
Mm-hmm.
like celibate, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like they don't
Mhm.
get any. You know what I mean? Like so
Yeah. Yeah.
so the fact that Tim Zahn wanted to create this character, like George really didn't like that, and Zahn has talked about this a lot actually. And when I was producing this, I found a bunch of interviews with Zahn where he talked about like creating her as a character, and like he like kind of recognized it, and he almost expresses like sort of regret in is kind of the vibe that I get from the way he talks about Mara Jade because George hated her so much. But he does famously really want Mara Jade to be brought into canon, actually.
Yes.
And he
Yeah.
said this many times, even in interviews as recent as like 2022. Like
Yeah.
Zahn has talked about wanting Mara Jade to come into canon, which is a really
Yeah.
interesting concept. And I think that's one of the things we want to talk about tonight is the fact that this lightsaber is now being sold in Batu, which raises some very interesting questions, doesn't it, Eric?
It really does because Batu being canon was such a huge thing when it got announced at Disney. They wanted to stand out. They didn't want it to just be like Star Wars Land, right? Like you go to Tomorrowland, you can go on Star Tours. That's not like canon. This is no, you're in the world of Star Wars. Everything you see, all the costumes of the cast members, all the food is named, all the stuff in the stalls is from a specific period of Star Wars. Like this was a whole design concept. And we on the show previously have been critical of this, saying that it sometimes limits, kids can't meet Darth Vader. You can't meet like young Princess Leia because they don't exist in this time period. And you have to go to other parts of Disney to do that. And it's felt a little disjointed. But this lightsaber, again, on the surface, doesn't mean a whole lot other than, hey, we know you like this character. Here's a toy. But for what's going on behind the scenes at Disney, this is a huge shift in practice. This is a huge shift in what they've been saying to their investors, saying, hey, we're locking this land in because we believe in this concept. Now, could this mean this is a one-time thing? Luke is coming back for a season of The Force, which is an event in July, as young Luke, which doesn't fit the timeline, but it's a limited event. Okay. Is it just limited events? Or if we want to go full speculation here, because it is fun to do so, is this a way for them to test the waters to be like, you know what? We have not thought about Mara Jade so far, but we're going to put out 3,500 lightsabers at $325. See what happens. And you know what happened, guys? Sold out in hours online. I don't know if they're still in the parks. I don't have the parks numbers, but if you go to the page online, it's gone. They pulled it because so many people ordered this lightsaber immediately. And if I'm looking at the numbers at Disney, and if this was a test, that test got passed.
For
sure.
Definitely
pass.
Yes.
Definitely
Money talks, right? So like
it sure does.
And then so they're gonna, I think this is a test, like you said. So they may try to test with other characters, but if they use Mara Jade in some way in Batu in canon, then there's so many stories that can happen between episodes between episodes 7 and 8. Or 8 and 9, something like that. Just like flashbacks from what Luke had, and so that was just so interesting. If they, because there's side quests, what you call it. It's like a video game, right? He had a side quest marriage that he didn't tell anybody about in the normal Skywalker saga, but we find out later in life. Maybe that's just me wishful thinking or whatever. But
listen, I personally love Mara Jade. I've always loved Mara Jade as a character. I think she's a great character. I think it's fitting that Luke has a wife. I think that it shaped legends. I think it shaped the idea that Anakin's fall was largely due to love
Mm-hmm.
lost in a lot of ways, right? So like I think it makes sense that Luke would look back on that in refounding the Jedi Order and sort of do away with that practice that the Jedi couldn't love, they couldn't marry.
Yeah,
So like
it's
I
like a
personally love
second
the
try
idea.
at life for
Right,
the
it is.
Skywalkers. Like he's
It
doing it.
is.
He's correcting the sins of the past.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And Luke normalized it in a lot of
Yes.
ways. And that also allowed him to rebuild the Jedi Order in a new way. It allowed him to recruit people who were force sensitive but were older and already had families. And that
Hmm.
occurred through Legends. So I've always loved Mara Jade as a character. And in the big article that I wrote for the site, I sort of speculated on some of the most popular theories. That was fun to research, is like
Yeah.
some of those popular theories about how could you possibly bring Mara Jade into canon, and I talked about that in the article. And my favorite that I want to get your take on is we still have a huge gap between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens that's still largely unaccounted for in the Star Wars timeline. And my favorite theory about Mara Jade is I think that she could be woven into Luke's story to really set the foundation for shaping Luke's grief and why he actually left and went to Octo. And
Mm.
like that's a large part of also why he fell out of the Jedi Order, is maybe right before Ben Solo kind of like rocked the boat and destroyed the Jedi Temple, maybe something tragic happened to Mara Jade, his wife, his love. Like that would fit into the timeline well, and I think it sort of would fit and shape the story. I think they should bring Mara Jade into canon, personally.
I don't hate it, honestly. Like I think there's obviously you mentioned this in your article as well, that like there's the risk of doing like the women in refrigerators trope of just like killing her to make Luke's story this blah blah blah. But I
It'd
think
have to
that
be epic.
we're yeah, and I think though in Legends, like
It is. It's very
spoilers for
epic in
20 years.
Legends.
Yeah. But she has like a sickness and it's a while and you see their love story kind of like run its course. And then she does have a tragic end that is not I'm not going to spoil that at this point. I mean, you probably know, but it's really cool. It's a really cool story. But I think if they brought her in and maybe she does have a final battle or something, and like people always ask, why was Luke so angry? Why did he pull his lightsaber on his nephew like that? It's like, well, maybe he's having a bad week, guys. Maybe he buried his wife and
Yep,
he's like a little off. Like,
I know.
I don't I don't hate that. Now, could we also just have Rey's and New Jedi Order movie and her young apprentice? Oh, your name's Mara, and they just do it like that. It's a
They could do it
totally
like
different
that.
character.
They could be
They
totally
could,
fine. They
but I
could
think
certainly
that's a really
could.
fun concept to have that love story and give it years to, like you said, they have years to play with. Give
Yeah.
it years to play out. Like take your time, do a series of books with it, because she is so. Again, she's so interesting, and we're in a period where we can really expand
There's some
and
flexibility
fill
there
these
for sure. That
areas. Yeah,
timeline gap is very flexible, and we still
yeah,
don't know how the first order came about.
right.
Like apparently the Emperor's been alive this whole time, and
Yep,
Mara is
all the
the
Exegol
Emperor's
stuff.
hand. Like I mean, I'm telling you, it's like the pieces are all there to be able
Yeah,
to shape that into a reasonable story. Do I think they're
totally
gonna do
can.
that? Probably not. But could
Yeah,
they? I think they could, and I don't hate the idea of it,
no,
frankly.
yeah,
She was a great character. And Mara
yeah,
Jade is funny enough with Galaxy's Edge too. Mara Jade has been a character that's come up multiple times. Do you remember years ago when Disney first introduced I don't think they launched the park with this, but they first introduced like the Arabash everywhere that you could like scan with your phone. Do you remember when that when
yeah,
the,
yeah, yeah,
do
yeah.
you
Like the
remember
little
seeing
game
about
or
that?
something.
That
Yeah,
there was like an Arabash like in a bathroom or something like that was like carved into the wall, and it said Mara Jade and it looked real and you could
yep,
scan it, and like
yep.
nobody's ever said anything about that. Do you guys remember that specific story? Like
They now that you say it,
Vaguely. Yeah.
it's absolutely. I mean, they could also just make her like a force sensitive that has been in the galaxy, that has been hiding on the reaches, that just comes into the story like a Cal Kestis type, that maybe
yeah,
got some training, or that's just been like doing jobs and is a little more of a scoundrel rather than an assassin, or an assassin
yeah.
that comes and finds the new Jedi Order. Like, there's definitely possibilities, and the fact that they're reaching out like that is cool. You mentioned the Orabash. That's another cool thing they did, though. On the box, the collector's box that the saber came in, it did have Orabash writing on the top of it that said Legends in Orabash. So they are
That's
like
cool.
stamping it as Legends. But I wonder, I think, Wes, you said this when we first started this conversation tonight. Does this open the door for more Legends sabers. If let's say they don't bring Mara Jade, they never have any intention. It's just a fun collectible, and they're like, we're doing Star Wars Land. Star Wars fans like this. Do they do Jason Solo? Do they do the Sword of the Jedi saber? Do they do
Corn Horn?
Corn Horn, like
Listen, Corn Horn is on the.
Tenel Ka. That's what I want.
Yeah,
original
that would be
Rancor
dope.
Tooth saber. I mean,
that would be dope. I was gonna say Corn Horn is already on like the precipice of becoming canon with this whole
right
dad
there,
thing
man.
and the Kenobi show, like or
Yeah.
grandfather or whatever. Yeah, I mean that's a good question. I would love to see more stuff like this. I love Legends being supported. I love it. I love Legends being supported.
I would like it to be a serious option to be brought into canon and not just like it's untouchable, right? Because it's Legends and we wanted to make our own piece as canon.
Yeah.
I would like it to be a serious option and not have to be like so off put because it's Legends we can't actually put it into canon because the stories have already been told. But there's such great stories. Like
such great stories.
You can put that somewhere where other people will enjoy, and it would help them go back to actually read some of those legends to see where the origin story was. Like this is exactly where these people came from.
Well,
also, all the money is green too. By the way,
right?
You know what I mean? Like
Republic credits will do fine. You know what I mean?
They sold this immediately, and it sold out within hours. Like I mean, somebody's kicking themselves for not creating 10,000 units instead of 3,500.
Yeah.
Right? Like
and I think there is a world where we talked just last week about all the projects coming out, and that it finally feels like there's a direction for the serious Star Wars, like the next trilogy. And all these projects, we're going forward. There does exist a world where we can do that and then have like the kind of more fun stuff. Like, we're going to put out a Legend Saber. Sure, we're going to do this. This is all taking care of itself, right? This doesn't mean that the serious Star Wars that is planned is not going on. That is pushing. That is one side of the franchise. The other one's kind of fun. Like, they didn't stop making silly Marvel comics when the MCU took off. They're like, that's our MCU. That's happening. But we're still going to do these funny things where, like, Spider-Man and Daredevil eat hot dogs on a crane. Like, you can do both things.
I know.
And I hope that they do. But either way, I'm so glad they did this. And I think it's shocking. I thought it was fake when it first got announced, but they
also
did it.
thought it was
got
fake.
sold.
I love the marketing photo too. The marketing photo is dope.
Yeah,
the one with the box and it looks like it's on the Death Star. It looks sick. Like, big fan.
Yeah,
that
it's
one.
really excellent.
That fan.
It's a great design. So if you got your hands on the saber, well done, because a lot of people didn't. And we're gonna keep.
What do you guys think of the saber? By the way, it's a pretty dope looking lightsaber.
Let's see.
I think it's cool because this has been one of my critiques as a lightsaber collector. Very bluntly, they're out of cool designs in canon. They've done basically all of them. They're all like they pulled out Gunji from the Clone Wars, and I'm like, hell yeah, I think it's made out of wood, but it's the kid from the Clone Wars. Like, they're really kind of out of the really cool ones. So I like that they're like, no, we'll go back into Legends. Like, we're not getting Qui-Gon's, which, sorry, Qui-Gon, this lightsaber absolutely sucks. And we're not going to do, like, Plo Koon and Luminara, who is the exact same handle, but one is a different color metal at the base.
I know.
Like, this is a totally different design. It is very unique to Mara Jade.
I like this design a lot because, listen, my weird critique about lightsabers, and I'm sure I've said this in the show before because I've had this opinion for a really long time. My weird critique about lightsabers is they make me upset when they're not ergonomic. Like, when it doesn't make any freaking sense to hold the lightsaber. Like, I'm trying to think.
So you actually do love Dooku's lightsaber, then, huh?
Oh, shut up! Oh my god,
ergonomics.
I hate that lightsaber. Who am I thinking of? That's got such a Revan's lightsaber.
Revan's. Oh my god, it hurts the hand so much.
Revan's lightsaber sucks so hard. It looks so cool, but it's got these edges, like these wings on the side of it. You cannot freaking hold that ergonomically. No. Darth Vader's lightsaber also isn't ergonomic, but he has metal hands and giant gloves.
He's got other problems going on. Yeah.
I guess that's different, right? So
it magnetizes to it. It's just like
exactly.
it's like a MagSafe.
Exactly. But
Oh,
yeah,
that's such
it
a bad
drives me
image.
nuts. Drives me nuts. Luke's original lightsaber is not very ergonomic either. It like feels weird. Yeah, look at that thing. It's a
Yeah,
terrible image, but
You
still, look
can't
at
hold
this.
on to that at all.
It's got these weird wings. Oh,
No.
it's awful, dude. You can't hold that. You cannot tell me you can hold that comfortably.
No.
Eric,
Whereas,
you
like,
have this lightsaber in your office too.
I
I played with
do.
it last time we came over, and it
I
was
do.
like
And I'm looking at some
uncomfortable.
sabers here on my wall, and it's so funny because you can tell where there's like a shift where they realize people I mean actually need to hold them. Like Kanan's, perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect
that's
ergonomic.
true.
It's even though it's animated, it's like a perfect design. It fits great in the hand. Even Ray's very good. It's got cool knobs, but in the middle of it, oh, it holds great. But like Mace Windu's ridiculous. There's like weird like bumps on it and stuff, so you can't actually hold it like a weapon. Cal
No.
Kestis made for a video game. Absolutely not. Like, but Mara Jade's very, very solid. Oh, also Ben Solo. Shout out Ben Solo's lightsaber. One of my secret favorites. That thing rocks.
Ben Solos. I can't
Oh,
remember Ben
man.
Solos look like. I'll look that up.
Here's a
Yeah.
better one of the Revan one. You cannot.
Oh,
hold
my
on to
look at that.
God.
It looks like a
It's
dart.
terrible.
Like,
It does.
It looks
Camino
like
and
they'd sell it-
Saber.
That's right.
Dude, it looks like they'd sell it in a Spencer's. Like that thing is not made for people. That is made for
It's not.
hooligans at the mall at 7 p.m. with nothing else
It
to
also
do.
cracks me up because we've talked a lot about Revan recently on the site as well. It cracks me up. I've learned more about Revan's lightsaber than I ever wanted to know. It cracks me up that Revan has a very obvious like good guy lightsaber and a very obvious bad guy lightsaber. Like, you can put them next to each other and be like, oh yeah, okay, this is the one where he became a Sith. I can tell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's so
This guy
obvious.
evil. I don't know. Look at his waist, bro. Like, look.
Yeah, I know.
Is it the
Exactly.
spikes that give it away?
Exactly. I know.
Yeah, but no, Mara's definitely very solid. And I do hope they do more Legends ones. If they do, again, we'll keep you all posted and stay tuned to our socials because by the time that this show came around, it's already gone. But we told you the second that it dropped, so we will hopefully give you many, many more Legends sabers as the years go on. But before we go any further, we want to take a quick second to let you know that this episode is brought to you by the United, the official Youtini community. Now, by joining the United, you'll not only receive ad-free shows and exclusive merch drops, you'll also get unlimited access to our Discord full of enthusiastic Star Wars fans that want nothing more than to welcome you. Filled with daily conversations, weekly polls, and monthly events, the United is powered by a community of intentional positivity. And that makes it the best place for you to celebrate your fandom and engage with fans who love everything you do the way that you do. Now, by heading to youtini.com/community, that's the word, you can sign up for a whole year of the United and save 15% when you use code Youtini Show. That is one word, code Youtini Show, for 15% off your first year of the United. So head on over now and get signed up to check out our amazing events and connect with your favorite podcast hosts. Even if they're not us, we will not get jealous. Now, thank you again to everyone in our community for their incredible support. And now, let's go back to the show. Now, oh my gosh, hold on. I messed up my teleprompter, guys. It's all my fault. Now, while Mara Jade was a highlight of the week as Disney celebrated the past of Star Wars, we also got to look ahead to the future with the official confirmation of 4 main stage panels at Star Wars Celebration Japan. Now, as well as a look at the new reservation system. Corey, we'll get there. Now, these 4 panels will be the main events of the weekend and will give us new information about the Mandalorian and Grogu, Andor Season 2, Ahsoka Season 2, and Vision Season 3. Now, before we get to some of the ticketing madness, which again, Corey's favorite topic in the world, I think we can all agree that these are pretty much what we expected, right, fellas? Like, there was not any like major
sure.
panels that were just shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah, no surprises. We knew these were the big things that we're talking about. Mando, Grogu, obviously the next movie, and the next 3 shows. But out of these, you know what? Before we get to the predictions, I want to take a quick step back to Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, which we were all at together and where we saw some of these main stage panels. Because, guys, if someone has not been to a Star Wars Celebration before, they don't know what a main stage panel is. Like, what's the difference between those? What do these panels usually give us compared to like what we saw in Anaheim? Like, why
That's
is
actually
this more
great. That's actually a
different?
great question because I wasn't really prepared for that the first time I went. The main stage panels are often in huge stadium seating. They're in giant auditoriums. They often bring out like all the pomp and circumstance. Like there's music and the actors come out. There's often shocking surprises and
John Williams might show up.
John Williams might
Yes.
show up and perform live in front of you as tears run down your face. Literally one of the greatest moments of my life. I
Greatest
cannot believe I got to
moment of my
hear
life.
John Williams play in person. That was unbelievable.
Uh,
But the incredibleness of the main panels, and I hate to be negative Nancy, but the incredibleness of the main panels is also like its greatest like downfall, because the reservation system that they use to get into these is really frustrating. And this makes me so mad, like talking about the reservation system.
but it's new
because
this year. It's bad in a
it's
different
new.
way this time
It's
around.
new this year. And in the past, like, you have to sort of win the ability to go to these.
It's a lottery
And
system.
like, it's a lottery system, and you can pay all this money to fly to Celebration and then not get a single one. So it happened to me the first Celebration I went to. I didn't get to a single panel. And Star Wars Celebration is still worth going to. There's still all this amazing stuff, but like it really sucks that they put so much energy into a couple panels. Like usually one, actually. Like, and if
There's
you don't
one
actually
main
get into
panel.
like the one main panel, like you
Which I
sort of
will
miss
say
out on
doesn't
like
seem to be what's happening. There's no like, because they usually be like welcome panel where it was like Kenobi or like Skeleton Crew and this and this and this and this. That being said, Mandalorian Grogu might be that, and they're just lying.
I think
to
it's
us.
that.
So,
It
you
is
think it's that?
I think it's that, and they're lying to us. They always lie to us about the panels. Usually one of them is always the big one. And when you get there, you know it's the big one because they bring out Kathleen Kennedy, they bring out Jon Favreau, and it's like so that's where all the surprises are. It makes sense why they can't make everything perfect, and it makes sense why not
there's so
everybody
many
can
seats.
get into all the reservation systems. I'm just like, there has to be a better way. And somehow, fellas, they made it worse this year. Somehow they made it worse. So
did.
let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah. We'll get the nitty gritty out of here, because if you're going to Celebration, this is actually information you need to know that you might not have seen so far. So if you are a ticketed Celebration holder, right, you can make reservations this year. This is how you get chosen. You make a reservation at a certain time. It seems to be like buying the tickets in the first place. On Tuesday, March 25th, you have some time, at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, that's U.S. times, that is when the reservations open. And you can make one panel reservation per day. So Mandalorian and Grogu is on Friday. Saturday, you must choose Andor or Ahsoka. Those are two of them. I'm sure like once one sells out, there'll be the other or something like that. And then Sunday is Visions. So you can make 3 reservations, and you must be ready Tuesday, March 25th at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm sure that there's also like an email that went out, but this is not a lottery system. This is not showing up on the day, getting in line, getting on your phone, trying to get a number anymore. Because that's what it was. You had the little green man that would walk across all our phones to try to get in a panel. But that's it. It all happens. So by the time you go to Japan, you know exactly which panels you're getting. So Corey, what do you think about this? It does take away the stress on the day.
It does.
You can prep a little bit ahead of time, but it's still a little bit. It takes a little more effort. It sounds like getting the tickets in the first place.
This is basically guaranteeing that either me or Caitlin, my partner, are going to get into one of these panels. And the other one
you
doesn't.
can't link them together, by the way.
You cannot link
if you're
them
married,
together
hopefully
at
you're both
all.
in.
So if you go with a group, if you go with your kids, if you go with your family, there's zero. It's completely random. Is how they've advertised it, and I don't know if that's how it's actually going to be. I guess we're going to find out. They famously lie all the time about how this system works, and they change it, and things behind the scenes are not actually how they seem, and then they act like we all should know
It'll crash
all the
as well.
time.
By the way, it'll totally
not going to
crash.
work.
It's not going to work.
Yeah.
Have you
It's not
thought
gonna
about
work.
a 8-foot trench coat and Caitlin sitting on your shoulders?
Yes, I have actually.
There's some there.
I have thought about that. And the way that they handle some of these panels too is just really frustrating because they show things and they don't show them to anybody else because they want it to be exclusive to Celebration. But I'm like, we all paid to be at Celebration. Just stream it to the whole convention.
Is there going to be overflow
Yes.
staging
sure.
or whatever? So that's at least
They did
they
announce
make
that.
they
There's 2
do
stages
make
of
that
overflow.
make you feel like that is incredibly important because I got that when I first went to Celebration and I thought that was the main one. I was thrilled, and then I got on there and I was
Still had a
like,
great time,
what's this screen about? What's this big screen about? And I was like, oh, this isn't the real one. It was still fun. It was still fun
still
being
fun.
with the people there and
Celebration is an amazing
yeah.
experience. The whole thing is just
so-
super fun. It's just the
Frustrating to
reservation
do this.
system is just it's just so stressful. Like
It is.
Yeah.
I'm already paying thousands of dollars to fly to Japan and like all this money for this convention. And I don't even know if I'm gonna get to see anything. And it's like there has to be a better way. I mean, I honestly think that every ticket holder that buys a 3-day ticket should be guaranteed access to at least one. At least one. I feel like. I mean, it happens every year that you hear about your friends they didn't get anything, and that's just really disheartening, and I hate that. We'll see. We'll see. I hope it's better this year.
Yeah.
I don't know. You still have to like log in at the time, right?
Yeah.
It's not the little man on the track,
You
right?
don't get it automatic. There's no way they can have everyone go in, and I think we'll see how this one goes. I think it sounds better than the day of reservation thing. I think that takes a lot of, because if you were able to get a ticket and you got on, I'm assuming you're going to use the same thing. It'll probably still be a pain, but we will see. Corey, we'll see how many you get, because you'll be able to tell us straight up.
I'm stressed about it. I transferred. You had to transfer the tickets because I bought both the tickets with my name.
Yes,
and
right.
I had to like
key.
create an account for Caitlin and like transfer the ticket to her name. And I'm like,
make sure each
this
person has their
this
own
is sketchy,
tickets they can
dude.
log
I don't
in.
know. I'm sketched out about it. I also don't see how this is gonna work exactly either because like it still comes open on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern or 7 p.m. Eastern time, but like it's not a lottery, but also we're not waiting in line either. Like I mean, I think
it's gonna be like buying tickets. I think you're gonna be in line, you're gonna be putting a
so
queue.
it's gonna be the little man, the little walking man. Is it not?
Might be.
I think it is.
I don't know.
Well,
Corey, I'm not in Reed Pop. I don't
nobody
know.
knows. Nobody knows. That's the problem, Eric. Nobody knows. I tell you what, at 7 p.m. on March 25th, I'm going to be at my computer with 7 devices. They're all logged in, just like you do to buy
Ethernet
celebration
hardwired
tickets.
on the computer.
Ethernet hardwire on my phone. I'm going to just do all the things to try to get the tickets. That's all you can freaking do.
And
I'm
then
like,
you know what they're going to do? They're going to punish people that are logged into more than one device, and you're not going to get ahead of everybody. It's the people with one device only. they're going to get where they want to go.
I hate it here, Wes. I freaking hate it here. And also, somehow, some people have like inside knowledge, and there's like groups and stuff, and somehow have inside knowledge, and they can like get ahead of everybody, which is how the VIP tickets sell out every single year. And I know this is a thing.
Before we get to too much conspiracy talk now, make sure to DM Corey how sad you are that his amazing Japan vacation might not be perfect. Before we get there, let's talk about the panels themselves.
Let's talk about the panels themselves.
We got the poison. We sucked the poison out of the wound. We spit it out. Now we got 4 days. We got 3 days, 4 panels. So I agree with you, Corey. I think Mando Grogu is the big panel.
I think so too.
This is gonna be.
I think it's the one. They're gonna show footage. It's gonna be a whole thing. Favreau's gonna come out. Filoni's gonna come out. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of it they announce like the next thing. Like, it's gonna be over the top. Honestly, I think that's got to be the one.
I have a prediction on this one.
All right.
I think that Mando Grogu will be the last. It will be like the second half of it. If it's like an hour and a half, the last 45 minutes will be all Mando Grogu. I think Pedro's gonna be there. I think if his filming schedule allows, like there's gonna be some stars, maybe Sigourney Weaver, John, Kathleen Kennedy, the whole shebang, right? They're gonna talk about the thing. We're gonna see some footage, all that stuff. Before that, I think, even though they've said this might not happen, I think we're gonna get Daisy Ridley and Sharmina Bad-Shinoy with a little New Jedi Order. Maybe we'll get a title reveal. Like again, we're talking 5-10 minutes. I think we're gonna get Sean Levy. Because Kathleen Kennedy confirmed that his is the next one. I think he just shows up. Maybe a Zoom call. Maybe like a pre-recorded video. I think we will get 5 to 10 minutes about a few different movies before that. I think they can't help themselves. I think
so too.
We might get some titles or a logo or something. I don't think you're gonna have a seat and they're gonna be like, "Welcome to Star Wars Celebration. Here's Jon Favreau," and then you just do Mando Grogu. I don't think there's enough of that.
Yeah,
that's my big prediction for that one.
So you think Mandalorian Grogu is actually like the Lucasfilm panel, basically?
Yes, yeah, I think it's a Lucasfilm panel, but I think there's more, like, so when we went to Anaheim, Obi-Wan Kenobi was the main part of that panel. Like, Ewan and Hayden all came out, and then they said, "And you all gonna be able to watch the show tonight." I think that will still happen, but I think there will be more Mando Grogu than there was Kenobi. I think it'll be weighted more because it's a feature film. But I do think that they're going to do a little bit of the Lucasfilm stuff ahead of time as like a primer, if you will.
I could see that. I really wish they would just open the panels with whatever footage they're going to show or whatever trailers they're going to show. Because it's very distracting when you're in the panel to like they're asking all these questions and these heroes and stars right on stage, and in your head you're like, "Hey, shut up! I want to see
Get
the footage." You know,
to the
that's how it feels.
trailer.
You're so cool.
I
You're
know.
so
It's
great,
like,
but there's a trailer,
Show
right?
us the trailer. That's how you feel the whole time you're in there. It's ridiculous. I can definitely see that. It just seems. I look at the list of panels: Mandalorian Grogu, Andor season 2, Ahsoka season 2, and Vision season 3, and like it feels like it's missing something, like straight up.
Yeah,
Like
that's
it
what
just
I'm saying. I think that like when you're there, like you said, when you're at Celebration, it's magic, and I'm sure it'll be overwhelming and like crazy. But I do think that like based on the slate we talked about literally last week
right.
of that Kathleen Kennedy interview, like there's enough stuff you can say. And if you're gonna be there without a celebration for at least another year, if not 2, if not 3,
Mhm.
it feels like you gotta use it to do something. Again, Mando Grogu, we're definitely getting footage. At least the teaser they already showed like a while back, but I think we're gonna get some dailies, like some actual scenes. Like I'm pretty sure that thing is done filming, so like they're gonna have some stuff ready to go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we get a little more. Now, the Andor one, though, I think we know exactly what that is. That's basically Kenobi. That is, hey, here you go. Hey, do you want to see the first episode? Like I think that is
That's like a that's a top 3 like Star Wars history moment for me. Getting to watch like I feel bad even saying this because JG's in the chat and didn't get the lottery to get in that. But getting to watch that with all of our friends, like live, and there were a lot of Youtini people in there.
I mean, Star Wars on the big screen, like that was the thing too.
Yes.
Like,
and getting to see little Leia, and the first 2 episodes of Kenobi are wildly wholesome too.
They're
And
so wholesome, man.
yeah, and that like getting to see that in that audience is just nuts. I just can't even explain it. The energy and the emotion is just so high, like it's just crazy. Honestly, I want to point this out too before we get too away from it. Is JG in our chat also mentioned a second ago? He said we're at a point where there isn't that much to show, but to reveal. Like and that's a good way of thinking about this.
That's a great point.
It almost feels kind of like a waste a little bit that Andor season 2 is going to be a panel, considering we have so much footage already. The show is coming out, literally a celebration is happening. Like, it almost feels a little bit wasted, but like,
especially
like,
with the abbreviated release
Yeah.
schedule, like we're only getting 4 weeks of it, which Tony Gilroy did. We're gonna talk about that later. He did announce it was a Disney decision, so like that is we're getting all Andor at once, and we're taking a whole main panel to talk about it. But I mean, Cassian, Diego Luna is gonna be there. Like that'll be the cool thing, right? Like he'll talk,
sure.
and I think Alan Tudyk will talk and stuff. But
I think they have to have these like structured panels here. They can't just say secret panel. Like
I know.
like where this is
secret panel,
secret panel, right?
Secret panel.
Or they try to shoehorn one in it, like they don't tell you about it, and they're like, oh, we're gonna have a special panel after the Andor season 2 panel, where it'll be mad like a mad crush to get into one of the venues or whatever. So
the Mara Jade panel.
Yeah,
The Mara Jade panel.
they get everybody in that don't even talk about it. They talk about something else.
Everyone gets a lightsaber that got in.
Listen, I am never. We actually bought them all the day they were released. Surprise!
It was us.
Listen, I am never gonna
Holy
forgive.
crap!
I'm never gonna forgive Jon Favreau for the first my first celebration, Chicago. I didn't get into the Mandalorian panel, and like me and Caitlin actually got there like crazy early to try to get in through the overflow, and we like just missed it. Like all the crowd in front of us like got in, and we like missed it by literally like 10 rows of people, and like there were probably 50 people that didn't get in with that we were with, and like I was so bummed. We spent hours in line hoping to get into this panel. And I'm like, dang, and I was pissed. I was like, and Caitlin was so sweet. Like, we went and found like a place to sit so I could stream it on YouTube because they stream those panels.
Back in the day, they did.
Back in the day, they did. Yeah,
I'm
never gonna freaking forget this. The very end of the panel. This hurts me to my soul. The very end of the panel. Jon Favreau goes, "All right, everybody, thanks for coming. We're gonna turn off the streams. We're gonna turn them off. Thanks for coming, guys. Are the streams off? The streams are off." Are the streams off? All right, guys, who wants to see some real footage? And then cuts the stream. And I'm like, wait, literally it like erupted. Like you can
Yep.
everybody is watching this stream via their phones in this
That's
entire
tough.
gigantic room, and you can
Yep.
hear everybody booing and screaming. Everyone's mad, and like they also like used to stream the panels like the Star Wars show stage. So there's like it's like
Yeah.
100 people all standing around to watch the stream, and
That
everybody
I
was
want them to bring
so
back.
freaking mad that
That was
he
a
did
miss.
that.
That
And
was-
Never
then
gonna forget that.
It,
Never gonna
it
forget
obviously
that.
leaked 30 seconds later. It's like, put your phones
Yes,
away.
I did. I literally watched it. I sat there for like 30 minutes until the leak happened, so I got to see it in terrible footage. I'm just like, just show the dang thing. It makes me so mad.
So at the risk of
yes.
triggering Corey further, 2 more questions I have for you guys on this. Because one, I do hope they bring out the streaming, but they didn't do it at Anaheim. I don't believe they did it
didn't.
in London.
I think they're
so
done. I think those
they're done
those
with it.
days are gone.
Just like the Star Wars show, it's over. I miss you every day.
Oh my god. Okay.
So but we haven't. It is true. I missed that show. But I think we know what Mando
what's
Grogu's
what's
gonna
the
be.
what's that stage going to be called then? I guess.
Oh no, it'll still be called the Star Wars. Even Star Wars show was gone by Anaheim, and they still called it the Star Wars show stage. And like
Was
Anthony and Andy
Was it
still
gone
hosted
in
it.
Anaheim? I don't think it was totally
think so.
gone yet. I think it was phasing out, but I don't think it was totally dead yet. Now it's like super dead, but like I don't think
Yeah.
it was then, right?
Well,
I don't know.
we'll see.
Did they have it in
I'm
London?
wondering.
Did they have a Star Wars show in
Yeah.
London?
Or they had
Did
the same stage. Like Christina Ariel did a bunch of the interviews there.
Huh.
So I'm sure they'll have an
Interesting.
interview stage of some sort.
It's going to be
Um,
called not the Star Wars show stage.
Not the Star Wars shows. They did the whole bit about it. Hi, we're not the Star Wars show. I'm not Anthony Carboni.
The artist
Exactly.
formerly known as the Star Wars show.
Yeah.
That's right.
So the other 2 panels though, real quick, I think are a bit of a mystery. Ahsoka season 2, Vision season 3. Ahsoka season 2, obviously we know isn't shooting yet. For a main panel, how much do you think they do of it? And then for Vision season 3, since it's coming out soon-ish, couple months, do you think this is going to be kind of like the Tales of the Jedi, where they just straight up show a couple
Oh,
and
yeah.
then say, there you go?
I don't know.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that Sunday, everybody's winding down. They want something concrete. They'd be like, yeah, we got to have.
Yeah.
We got to give them something. You can't just give them maybe just like the titles and then some of the pictures of the characters or something. I think, yeah, you're
Yeah.
gonna get a screening.
Yeah.
Makes sense for me.
like
Everyone's
Listen to
tired.
me, Wes said
Turn
it
out,
here
turn out
first.
the lights.
What's that here first? I know. I mean, I think the fact that it's Japan means you have to do a Visions panel. I feel like,
Yeah.
you know, it's
All the editors
Japanese
are back to
art,
Japan this year too.
That's right.
So
100%. So like, I feel like that one actually be pretty popular, honestly. I'm a little surprised to see that in the list as like a main.
Yeah.
25% of the main panels, right, is Visions.
Yeah.
That's surprising. But super interesting. I mean, I don't know if I'll fight that hard to get into Visions. I mean, maybe it might be a cool experience to be in Japan to see the Visions panel. You know what I mean? Like, that could be different. But
it's so art focused. We've talked about the badges and the pins are like so inspired. And again, I assume not to bring up the ticketing again. Easy, breathe. I think
let me
that
close my ears. Let me take my headphones out.
you're gonna be like a cartoon character.
I know.
I assume that it's gonna be like, you log in and you just click 3 buttons. Like I assume it's all gonna be the same screen. So
Yeah, right.
So we'll see.
Anyway, Ahsoka season 2. That panel, I have no idea what we'll get. Nothing concrete.
I think we'll get casting. I think we'll
Trailer?
get a new
Teaser?
actor.
Teaser, something maybe teaser.
Nah, they're not shooting yet. I don't think so. I think
They haven't done anything. I mean, how can they have a panel called Ahsoka season 2 if they haven't done anything? That seems nuts.
I think
Concept
it's an
art.
announcement. Yeah, concept art.
Concept
Well, look, dude, legit. I think that's it. And like with when London they brought out Lars Mikkelsen for Thrawn. I think we're making something like that. Like who's another character that's coming back or like is
Yeah, okay.
featured.
That would be fun.
I can see that.
Yeah. See
Mara
them
Jade.
live. Mara
Jade.
Jade.
Mara Jade!
This is what we're shooting
Guys,
her in.
Every panel's Mara Jade. Andor
I-
season 2, secretly Mara Jade.
I can just see it. I can see Filoni literally on the stage in his cowboy hat, and he's like, "So you guys remember like a couple months ago, they released that lightsaber of a special character. What was her name? Does anybody know?" He's so awkward when he goes. He leaves way too big of long pauses. He's like, "Do we have her name? There was a name, right? If somebody was on the stage."
Then the lights go down and you hear the music of the intro of the 96 Bulls, like
Exactly.
Smoke starts coming out.
Exactly.
And then it's like Jessica Chastain as Mara Jade.
Exactly. That's what will happen. That's what will 100% happen.
What a
Full
great
circle.
drop.
We're full circle.
Well, if it doesn't happen, everyone, you know to be disappointed. We're starting to get your hopes up.
That's funny,
Oh
dude.
my goodness. But you know what? Somehow, believe it or not, Celebration is not the only place this week that we heard about the Mandalorian and Grogu. Because this past weekend at a different convention, South by Southwest down there in Texas, the Future of World Building at Disney had a panel, and they showed off plenty of cool stuff coming to Disney parks, but it included some Star Wars. So the Smuggler's Run ride attraction, where you can pilot the Millennium Falcon, is going to receive a Mandalorian and Grogu themed mission on the release day of the movie, May of 2026. And we got a first look at the little BDX droids here, which are going to appear not only in the film, but also in person at Walt Disney World, at Tokyo Disneyland, and Disneyland Paris. So, fellas, this begs the question, are we officially in a new Star Wars publicity cycle? Is this
Dude, I don't know.
marketing?
I don't know. I really don't know. Like the theme, literally the theme of this episode of the Youtini show is like, has Disney figured out how to market Star Wars? Like, straight up.
Yeah.
It's so strange. Honestly, like they announced this, like it's gonna be like Smuggler's Run, right? Like it's gonna be a digital thing, so Eric
like
can write it one time and then like just watch it on YouTube because he'll throw up afterwards.
That's exactly
or
it.
during.
I can't do it. I can't do
during.
it. But yeah, they changed the screens and like the motion of it to be
Okay.
again somehow involved in Mandalorian and Grogu, which they're saying based on this concept art has something to do with Cloud City. And Jon Favreau though did say he already quoted, this isn't going to retell what happens in the movie. It's more like participating in something that's happening just off camera from what you see in the film. But guys, I see a Millennium Falcon, I see a Razor Crest, and I see Cloud City.
I see dollar bills, Eric.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Here's my little. So Corey had a crash out about the ticketing. I have my little mini crash out here, right? As the kids say. Do we just need to accept that this movie, and it's totally fine if it is just going to be toys, and we're playing with cool stuff like the Razor Crest got blown up, but now it's probably back. The Mandalorian and Grogu got separated, but then he was. Do we just have to say whatever's on screen is fun, and we're just going to accept it because they want to put a Razor Crest in it because it's a cool ship, and they want to go to Cloud City because it's a cool place? Like, am I just overthinking the story of this?
I don't think so. I mean,
there's always going to be something behind. There's always going to be some underlying reason for some of this.
Yeah.
Listen, Bob Iger came back into Disney and was like, and like, because there was all the drama, right, with the previous guy. What was his name? And Iger
Bob
came
Chapek.
back in.
Yeah.
Yes, Chapek, right. Chapek was doing a terrible job. All the sales were down. Iger came in his first day. He's like, all right, so Mandalorian was a huge success. We all know it was a huge success. Show me the numbers of all the Grogu merch that we're selling at Galaxy's Edge. And everyone just like looks around and they're like, he's like, can you get a report to at the end of the day? And everyone's just like, Bob, we're actually not selling that much merch with Grogu on it in Galaxy's Edge. And he's like, what? What do you mean we're not selling merch? Like that's literally what happened. Like that's literally what happened. I was
Well,
I was there,
at least show
actually.
me where's the new Razor Crest footage? We blew up the Razor Crest. That's stupid. No,
Exactly.
you didn't. Yes,
That's
you did.
what
No,
happened.
You didn't.
That's what happened. And these decisions take forever to make, which is why we're just now seeing it. And this is basically an excuse to sell a ton of Grogu stuff in Galaxy's Edge. And frankly, I don't blame them.
Yeah.
Great idea. I think this actually looks like a lot of fun. Honestly.
I think it does
it's a great
too.
Idea. It's a great
Listen,
idea.
I think, in all seriousness, I do genuinely believe, as a intentional positivity Star Wars fan, I think we have to go into the Grogu film like with the eyes of a child, and just it's going to be fun, it's going to be campy, it's going to be goofy. We just have to accept it. Like, do I kind of hate the idea that Grogu exists and has completely taken over Star Wars? Yes, I think it represents the commercial interest of Star Wars, and it takes me out completely. But at the same time, it's goofy and funny, and I freaking love that episode of Mandalorian where Grogu is inside of IG-11, like controlling him with his little gears. That's so freaking funny,
and the kids
I love that.
Love him. The kids love
Yes.
him.
Yeah.
And, so
And the
that's what it's all
normies
about.
love him. Listen,
Yes.
normal people who are not Star Wars fans have watched The Mandalorian. More people have probably watched The Mandalorian than have seen original trilogy
I've
films.
seen too many people in traffic with a Grogu sticker on their back windshield.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah,
so
they love it. And like, honestly, we're at a point now where they are using their resources to say, hey, you can go to almost any Disney park in the world, right? There's like 4 of the parks. Most of them you can go to will have these little droids walking around that you as a person can go touch and see. And then you can
It's
go to
cool.
a movie
That is
theater
cool.
and see that droid
That is cool.
in a thing with Grogu in it. And then you can go fly the Falcon and Grogu's there. Like,
I know.
all of
It speaks to
it's
it speaks
synergy.
to
It's actually
it speaks
synergy.
to the accessibility of this, right? Like you
Mhm.
have to acknowledge that
There
Mandalorian
it is.
has like a ton of accessibility associated with it. Like
Yes.
even if the diehards like us like can kind of roll our eyes a little bit at like some of the goofiness of the fact that Jack Black and Lizzo are in Mandalorian. Yes, we have to roll our eyes at that a little bit, but at the same time, like it makes it easy for normal
hurt.
people to get into it,
Yep.
right? And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with
Yes.
that. Like it's goofy and it kind of annoys me, but at the end of the day, I'm fine with it.
They're
Jack Black is
acknowledging
a
the
Star
project.
Wars character on his own without even being in a Star Wars show. All right, so
Yeah.
it was a pretty
Oh
good. It was
my
a pretty
God.
good casting. I think.
Yeah, they're actually doing. It looks like the people behind the scenes are actually putting resources towards the projects they're making, and I
It
think
does.
even if just that feels like a difference. It feels like they got out of the COVID bubble finally and realized people are up and about. People want to use their money to see things. They want things to be connected. They want to look in different places and see the same kind of stuff, and it's actually working.
How is Hondo going to introduce this? I wonder because like he's an animatronic character.
Yep.
That's actually probably pretty easy. Honestly, the entire Smuggler's Run like story, like when you ride the ride, there's like 2 or 3 little planet like stories you can do. It like barely makes sense like from a storytelling perspective. You're just like I don't really even understand what happens. I'm an adult like on this ride. Like
Go get
And,
the coaxium. Okay, thanks, Hondo.
I know. Like I really don't really remember what
Why?
the story was. It's pretty weird. You like planet
Yeah.
hop. It's very strange.
Yeah.
So maybe it actually won't be that hard to do. So
Yeah, it's like Harrison Ford said, "It ain't that kind of movie, kid."
what if they
like
You
what
gotta
if they
have a-
use
You
what if
gotta
they
have a
use
reason
this
to
to
go
explain
into hyperdrive. That's why they had the planet hopping. You have to
That's
right.
have a reason for somebody to pull that lever.
Yeah, if somebody put it, that's 100% it. Why they're going to Cloud City? We haven't actually talked about Cloud City at all. I know we're trying to move on past this, but
No, we don't know why.
What if they use that? What if they use this to explain how Luke's lightsaber like is in the hands of Rey in The Force Awakens? You remember Maz is like a story for another
For
time.
another time.
What
That's
if
true.
this is the other time? This is the story. We're finally getting it.
And the only way you're gonna
This
get
is-
it
this
is by
is
going.
the
It's by going on this
Dude.
ride.
Going on a
Evolution.
freaking
You have to sign an
Mandalorian
NDA.
and Grogu ride.
You have to
Yeah.
sign an NDA
Bro.
so you don't tell anybody after the ride.
This is
Oh my
this is the
God.
evolution of the Palpatine Fortnite speech. This is the exact spiritual successor. Palpatine Fortnite meet Mando Grogu Luke lightsaber smugglers run. Like that is exactly how it works. And you
Full
know what?
circle.
Sure. Maybe
Yep.
maybe
It's
you
canon.
because a little. So if you haven't been on Smuggler's Run, while you're in it, part of the gameplay because it's basically a video game that moves around in seats is you grab these coaxium containers, and you like shoot a little harpoon and you grab the containers. That's like the mechanism. And they're not going to rebuild that, right?
Mm.
So what you could do if I'm designing it, if you're grabbing containers, you end your mission. Yay, good job. Oh my gosh, we got back from Cloud City. And my friend wanted these. And you open the containers and Maz Kanata walks over, opens the container, and amidst all the junk, there's a lightsaber. And she's like, I think I'll hold on to this. Boom. And you, as a fan, gave Maz Kanata Luke's lightsaber.
I don't hate it.
Take that, Wikipedia.
I don't hate it.
Make that canon.
Also, just
you-
remembering the whole Smuggler's Run. One guy or one person is a pilot. You have 2 pilots. One is going up and down. The other one is going left and right.
Side to side.
My ship was going side to side only because my buddy was head down with his head between his legs, almost puking his guts out because he could not take the giant screen of the motion, and he got so sick he could just hear him. Oh, oh.
No, the worst part is when it's like a 4-year-old is controlling
and they can't control
controlling
it. Yeah.
it, and they're not doing anything. They're just like doing this the whole time, you know. And you're like, please
10 and 2,
stop,
10 and 2.
please stop. All right. Yes.
So we'll see. That's coming again, May 22nd, 2026. That is coming into Smuggler's Run, and take a look or keep a lookout for those little droids that are going to be in Disney, I believe, sooner than that. But finally, everybody, from one publicity train to another somehow, Andor Season 2 is in full hype mode in the Star Wars community right now, and Tony Gilroy is at the head. And this week, we got a new behind-the-scenes video courtesy of Disney+. Tony Gilroy sat down with Collider today and a bunch of other places to chat about the show. He's doing a live Q&A later this week on YouTube, and the first 3 episodes of Season 1 are now on Disney+ YouTube for free. Guys, I can barely say it again. Is this an actual marketing strategy?
I think it is. I think it is. I mean,
Doing it!
I kind of joked. I joked to our team a little bit that it's such an intense marketing strategy with so much different new strategies that like it almost feels like they really expect Andor to not work. like they're like expecting it to fail almost, because we've never seen anybody do this before. With the first 3 episodes of the season 1 on YouTube,
on YouTube, Disney Plus YouTube, right? This is not just Star Wars fans. They're finally like, hey, regular people, this show's really good.
I know.
Watch it.
It's weird and crazy. I can't believe they're doing that.
I was reviewing, or I was watching the season 1 recap, and I cannot believe that all happened in season 1, because it's inherently, it feels just more adult to me than it does anything else. So I think that's gonna kind of draw more people in, especially. But yeah, it seems like I'm on season 4 after watching that recap, because there's so many things that happened. There was the first act when he shot and killed. Oh, spoiler alert! I'm so sorry. They're after Andor for murdering 2 people, or 2 corporate officers. But yeah, then they switch over to the heist, and then they switch over to the Aldhani heist. I was just like, I almost forgot about that, but like,
dude, I know,
so
man.
Many details
like,
in that, and
we're like in our
then
we're in our rewatch
episodes.
right now.
Yes,
the prison episode. Yes, there's so many. The arcs are huge. Like like you don't remember how big they are, but they're massive, and they take a long time to get there. We're in our rewatch in our community right now. I think this week is episode 6. I believe is what we're on. I'm 1 episode behind. I gotta get caught up. I had to work in the hospital this week, so I've been behind.
It's the Eye episode, which is one of the most gorgeous episodes of all time.
It's insane. The whole show is just like so much happens in an insanely short period of time, and but the pace doesn't feel like that when you're watching it. It feels slow and methodical, and there's room to breathe. It's just honestly the best freaking Star Wars writing that's ever been done. And if the trailers are doing it any justice, and this behind the scenes look that we got today speak to that at all, season 2 is just going to be even crazier. I mean, the fact that we have to get from the end of season 1 all the way to Rogue One, like Cassian just joined the rebellion, literally at the end of, So
that's why we got the time jumps. I mean, they're going to do all these year-long time jumps, and so as you mentioned, I didn't even say that in the intro to this. They did release a 14-minute recap on the Star Wars YouTube channel today. This is the biggest YouTube push we've ever seen for a show. YouTube has a 14-minute recap. Regular Disney Plus has the first 3 episodes. A Star Wars show has never put their first episode for free on YouTube before. JD says other shows have, but Star Wars, this is a first. And Tony Gilroy talked to Collider, Gizmodo, Entertainment Tonight, or Entertainment Weekly, all going out on the same day. And this behind-the-scenes clip came out last week on Disney Plus on the actual app before it hit YouTube as well. They are flooding the airwaves, like the Rebellion, right? They're flooding the airwaves with Andor right now, saying this is serious. We are working on this. This is a juggernaut, Genevieve O'Reilly said. And they're also confirming some story parts. Main thing that Tony Gilroy said. Now, if you don't want to know anything about season 2 at all, you haven't watched any of this, you're probably already gone. But one of the things that we've thought about in the community got confirmed. The Gorman Massacre is an event that's going to happen. We saw it in the trailer. We assume that's what it was. This is a massacre talked about in Star Wars Rebels that made Mon Mothma leave the Senate. This was her final straw. And Tony Gilroy confirmed that this is going to take span 5 episodes, which means there's going to be a time jump in the middle of it, and there will still be repercussions going on. He says the set was so expensive, they wanted to use it for so long, and they are doing this big, incredible, this massacre, which is the mass killing of innocent people, is going to take a third of the whole season of a Star Wars Disney Plus TV show.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
No,
it's just very
right though. That's an antithesis of the rebellion just coming alive. I think that's a good idea.
It does.
Yeah, this is the rebellion. By the end of it, it's Rogue. Like that.
If
that
you
is the
haven't,
season.
if you haven't checked out this article that Eric put together on our site that sort of covers all the takeaways from Gilroy's interviews that he did this week, like you got to check this out because like there's so much behind the scenes details in this that I'm just so freaking hyped for this. Honestly, Tony Gilroy is such an enigma. He truly is because like you hear
He's
him
my
talk,
hero.
and like sometimes you're like, this guy actually doesn't like Star Wars at all. And other times you hear him talk and you're like, this guy understands Star Wars better than George Lucas understands Star Wars. Like, it's freaking crazy.
Yeah.
The guy is just like a savant about storytelling and like the ripeness of the rebellion versus empire. Like, the dude just understands it better than anybody I've ever seen. Also, all of his comments about like, explain the AI thing, Eric.
Okay,
'Cause
yeah.
the title
Yeah.
of this article is very gut punchy on our site.
Yeah, it is.
Tell us about the AI thing because this is pretty funny.
Yeah.
He brought this up.
Yeah, so Tony Gilroy is he speaks his mind about everything he wants, right? And back at the during the season 1 of Andor press run, he stated that he was planning to release the scripts of Andor season 1 in like a book. Like to publish it that you could read all the scripts. And he said he had compiled those and there's like 1,500 pages. And he said they decided not to do it. And our friend Maggie over at Collider, she asked him why. And he said that it was because of AI. He said that in the end, he didn't want those 1,500 pages of his script writing to be online, to be publicly available, to be used to train AI. And he said, quote, and I'll bleep myself. He says, why help the effing robots any more than you can? He said in a Star Wars publicity interview, he was like, I don't want them to learn from my words. And he was like, that's why we're not releasing it. And like
That's
that's
crazy.
Again, that's the stuff he's very open about that. He also said that the release schedule, where they're doing it all in 4 weeks, that was a Disney call. He said it wasn't our call, but I think it'll be fun. He did actually mention that he's like, I don't know how podcasters are gonna handle it. So shout out to Bounty Hunt. Tony Gilroy's a fan, but like this is a guy that, like you said, Corey, respects Star Wars so much. And one like he'll say, we don't tease very much. We don't do a lot of cameos. Everything has to, we're not bringing in anyone for fun. It has to all be like a reason for it. And then he had a quote about Nemec saying, I should have a dialectic character who introduces another note to the chorus of Cassian's education. Like, that's how this guy talks.
I know it's
Star
ridiculous.
Wars.
It's ridiculous. I really loved his points about cameos. That really spoke to me. Particular that he said is like,
Yeah.
we don't do anything because it's fun. And I'm like,
Yep.
damn, that's like the opposite of literally everybody else you hear talking about Star Wars. Like,
Yep.
like everybody talks about Star Wars. Like, yeah, when I was a kid, I just wanted to be a Jedi and I wanted to wear the Mandalorian armor. And that's why I did this because it was fun. And Tony's like, no, we don't have fun. We tell good stories. And it's just like,
Yeah.
yes,
like, I'm a
sir. Please,
student
sir.
of
Please keep
history.
writing the stories. I know.
Yeah,
I'm a student of
'cause-
history. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Maggie asked him in the interview too, like, "Oh, is it like for the present time and stuff?" And he's like, "We wrote these so long ago, but also history repeats itself." He's like, "I study all like it's the rise of fascism, it's all this kind of stuff. Like that's the story I am telling of fascism taking over the galaxy, and we're getting to Rogue, which is a story where, oh, by the way, all the people die at the end and sacrifice themselves, and it's not really a win." Ta-da, Disney Plus. Watch Mulan.
I know.
Like, you know, it's not.
It's not so much fun as it is.
It's rich though. It's
Yes.
rich and
Unbelievable.
it's hard hitting, and I'm just so freaking excited for season
Yeah.
2. I mean, I've really enjoyed like the slow rewatch of season 1. Like
Me
I've
too.
not
Me too.
rewatched a Star Wars show before. We talked about this a couple times in the last couple of weeks that like I've never rewatched a Star Wars show, and Andor is so rewatchable. It's so rewatchable.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
notice stuff you didn't notice before. Like the music still hits you just as hard as it did the first time. Man, that title crawl
Nicholas
of
Britell.
Andor is
King.
the freaking richest title crawl. I get chills every single time. I'm just like,
in the
my
recap
God.
when it was one way out and they were running off, I got goosebumps and I was like, I
Dude,
remember,
Same.
I remember, and he
And
couldn't
it's
good.
swim.
The care in it is I mean, all those titles that you mentioned, like every title is different, by the way. Like if you haven't gone back and rewatched it, don't ever skip the titles because Nicholas Britell changes each title to thematically follow that episode, even though it's the same basic chords. And then like Tony Gilroy shouted out his costumer in some of the interviews today, saying like this, if he doesn't get award nominations, I don't understand it because they're all so good. Like, I mean, Cyril had that stupid tie that looped out of his shirt in season 1. What do we get that's like that in season 2?
I
That is
don't know.
memorable. That is very memorable.
It's just unbelievable.
I remember when Andor first came out, we were talking about it because I think we were still doing Bounty Hunt back at that time, right?
Yeah,
It was
it was
still
you.
it was
Yeah, it
still
was the four of us.
an extension of Living Force, and like I remember talking about Andor and like it like really like rocked our world in a lot of ways because like we didn't really know that the storytelling could be that good. And we like live in this little bubble of Star Wars. We love everything and like we're choosing to love everything. And some of it's harder to choose to love than others, right? But like
Yep.
then Andor came along and is just like, is Star Wars actually bad? Do we actually hate it? Does it suck? Like,
yeah.
Is everything that's been written before this like actually not worthy of being watched? Like it makes you ask. It makes you ask fundamental questions about being a fan, and I kind of love that about the show, just because like there's nothing else has really hit me like Andor has.
No.
Like there's
just
nostalgia
so
with
yeah.
Yes, exactly. There's nostalgia with Kenobi. There's nostalgia with Ahsoka for like Rebels. Like there's fun storytelling that's new and different, like the sequel trilogy, but like there's nothing with harshness and depth and.
And it's all. I think it's definitely all because of Rogue One, because we haven't had anything where all your favorite main characters you've grown to love for that 2.5 hours you're watching the movie, they all just die, right? Yep. So you're just like,
suddenly,
violently, and they all lived, and then Tony Gilroy came in to take over, and he's like, "Hold on."
He killed them off one by one. Every character you see gets killed. They all have their own death scene. Freaking K2's death scene in Rogue One is the most heart-wrenching death scene I think in all Star Wars.
Yes.
It's it's worse than Padme's. It's worse than Anakin's. Like it's a freaking droid. Like Tony,
and I
he
think
gets it.
What's so great about this? Number one, if you're an Andor fan, what a great day for you to be alive on Monday, March 10th, because a lot of reading and watching to do. So much stuff is coming out. They clearly are pushing this towards people that aren't regular Star Wars fans, and I love that because it deserves to be seen by everybody. But looking back at just our show tonight, we have this show that's going to give you 5 hours of a massacre and its lead up after that call to leave the Senate to go to a rebellion that's trying to take down a fascist dictatorship that you know will fail because Luke isn't there yet. That's what we're doing. And then we're like, and also the little droids are going to be in Tokyo at the Disney park. Like, those are both Star Wars, and they're both getting resources, and they're both getting publicity. And this is the future that Kathleen Kennedy, I think, is talking about. There are multiple kinds of Star Wars, and you know what? Lucasfilm supports them all with their money and their mouths. This is what we want. This is it. Just don't push one in the corner. Don't make one the abandoned, I'm embarrassed of. Make the Mara Jade lightsaber, do the Smuggler's Run ride, and then make Andor, put it on Hulu for free. Like, great. Now, Disney, you're doing good. I'm worried about that because
don't learn the wrong lesson.
Like,
they're gonna look at some bullshit data and they're gonna decide that all that stuff that we did was all a failure. Actually, we can never produce a show like Andor again.
This is great.
Don't try to please everybody.
Keep the line.
Don't try to please everybody.
Yeah, you're doing great. We're proud
do you guys
of
think? Do you guys think that around the horn? Do you guys think that Andor season 2 is going to be successful?
What do you mean by successful?
Streaming wise.
Just numbers?
Yeah, just numbers.
I don't think it will make it will not have the numbers that would allow them to do a third season if they wanted, which Tony Gilroy said he's glad they're not doing. And he actually said that he's in one of the interviews, again, I think it was Gizmodo today, said that like the only reason they got to do season 2 was because of like the praise from critics and viewers. And he admitted not as many, it wasn't the size, but it was the passion. And I think that's what will replicate. I do think
that's a good way to put it.
There's a possibility it eclipses season 1's numbers based on this marketing strategy. Because I think all of us in this Star Wars echo chamber drastically underestimate how many people see just regular ads, just regular stuff. So
that's fair.
But no,
I think
like Acolyte, Skeleton Crew numbers, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I think I also want to put myself in the optimistic camp and say that I think that we're going to be pleasantly surprised by the streaming numbers.
Great.
I actually am not that surprised that Acolyte did the way it did based on how it was marketed. But this is new. This is different. We've seen different stuff. And honestly, I've never heard anybody besides ridiculous neckbeards on YouTube whose opinions I don't give a shit about tell you anything bad about Andor ever. Literally everybody that talks about it says it's the greatest masterpiece that's ever been created. And I think people have been listening to that for like however many years it's been.
Yep.
And I think season 2 is going to be a success. I think it's going to stream well. I think it's going to make money. And I think we're all going to feel good about it. I hope so. Like, learning that Andor was the worst stream thing ever before Acolyte like hurt me in my soul. So
yeah. The model will be interesting because if it's 3 episodes a week, I think the initial number is gonna be terrible. Because I think most people aren't gonna watch a full Star Wars movie every Tuesday for 4 weeks like us sickos. We're probably gonna watch them twice in the same day. But I think over the year,
I don't know though. That's the whole reason they're doing it is to hopefully get more people to binge. Basically,
true,
right?
True.
So
what do we know? Like
maybe it works.
Maybe
I don't know. We'll see.
Either way, it doesn't matter to Tony. He got the check. He made the film. Away he goes.
I think it'll be like Skeleton Crew or like Kenobi numbers or something. I don't think it's going to be astronomical. I think people are ready to get their asses back into the theaters, and they've had kind of enough of the streaming part. Like we're ready to go out.
Go out with a bang or a massacre.
You're right. I think overall the Star Wars TV experiment has been not a huge success in a lot of metrics. Like I think fans want to go back to the theaters. I think we are going to have to see a slower paced TV shows coming out with movies more often. I think that is the perfect formula.
It saved us through the pandemic. Like it single-handedly saved Star Wars, I think, through COVID. Absolutely. If it was only books and comics and all the movies just got shelved and nothing was coming out, I have no idea what Star Wars would be right now. I think that it was a weird confluence of events, but I agree. I think that once we get through these shows that we have right now, we'll take a second. We'll go back to some movie theaters and enjoy some good stuff.
I'm ready.
Oh, man. What a week, everybody. Again, we are in crunch mode now. We have just about a month or so, just over a month till Star Wars Celebration. We're going to get a lot of answers and just a little bit longer to enter season 2. We are going to be bringing you all the news about all of it, but not this week because, everybody, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Youtini Show. Thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out and chatting Star Wars with us. Make sure you go to youtini.com/community to join the United. Use code Youtini Show for a little bit off your first year. We'll be back next week for everything going on in Star Wars. Until then, may the Force be with you.